Hey guys, I'm Ryan, right? So today I'm going to be reviewing Ant-Man. That's why I have my Marvel shirt on. And my Avengers boxers, woo! This is my little Ant-Man. That's not a compliment. That's a horrible thing to say about your penis.
You see your bulge.
You could see, I know. It's about giving the audience what they want. Alright, so in case you guys haven't heard of Ant-Man, here's the logline from IMDb. Armed with a super suit with the astonishing ability to shrink in scale but increase in strength, con man Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, must embrace his inner hero and help his mentor, Dr. Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, plan and pull off a heist that'll save the world. Now, before I go into this, I will let you know that I'm going to be doing a spoiler review of Ant-Man, so I'll talk about the Avengers tie-ins, the cameos, some Easter eggs, you know, the fun stuff for you comic book freaks. But for now, this is the spoiler-free review. Let's get into this. I'll start off by saying this film is incredibly entertaining. It's really fast-paced, feels fresh, which I'm so happy to say, because when I saw the trailers for this film, I was like, yeah, it looks cool, but it also looks like a typical Marvel film. It's nice to say that it feels fresh. I mean, yes, it does pretty much follow the Marvel beat sheet of their origin tales. Like, it's a very similar outline. Like, even with the villain. If you look at Iron Man, he went up against Obadiah Stane, which had a more advanced Iron Man suit. The Hulk goes up against Abomination, which he essentially has the same stuff that Bruce Banner has. Captain America goes up against Red Skull, and Red Skull is a failed experiment of what Captain America is now. Here we get a similar thing with the villain, Darren Cross, and the portrayal of him was pretty cliche. I'm hearing that all across the board, and I completely agree. It's a very typical hamming it up the evil type of performance. It's like, why is this guy such a dick? I mean, then he eventually becomes Yellow Jacket, which is a more advanced suit of the Ant-Man suit. Now, what I will say though, despite its similarities, the film still felt fresh, even with the villain. I like the fact that Darren Cross is like an older man with daddy mentor issues. He studied under Dr. Hank Pym. He strives to impress the guy. It's like he gets all of his self-worth based off the opinion of Dr. Pym, which I felt actually added a more human dimension to the villain. And it made me understand his motives like even more. Now, the number one thing I'm hearing from like everyone, and I totally agree, this film is fucking funny. It's hilarious. I laughed a lot at Guardians of the Galaxy, but this has to be the Marvel film I cracked up at the most. Especially because of Michael Pena. Cool Hispanic dude. Like, a lot of the scenarios are really funny, a lot of the interactions are really funny, but Michael Pena, whenever he was on screen, he stole the show. Just from his first scene, he is the most interesting person to watch when he is in a scene. Like, I've loved his work over the years, especially in his dramas. But man, like, this role was sort of written like a stupid Latino low class kind of guy. Like, it felt like the writing was a little cliche, but his performance made it so much more unique. And the humor to this film is so important. It's a necessity. Like, and a lot of it is very self-aware kind of humor. You're dealing with a story about a hero called Ant-Man. He's a superhero the size of an ant. The writers knew there was like a silliness to it, and they gladly acknowledge it. And without them acknowledging when it's funny, like when it's something that you can laugh at a little bit, then when they show you the moments where they want you to find the powers really cool, they feel really cool. I love how it works with the different types of ants. It's very similar to how I work with all the girls on this channel, excluding Veronica. Whenever she is in the room, she is lead ant. No one fucks with Veronica. He even forms a personal bond with like a flying ant, which was fucking cool. Calls him Anthony. The montage you see of him learning how to work the suit was really funny. It was really cool too. And that journey makes you really root for Ant-Man. The fact that he has to work with these insects, form a connection with them in order to lead them, makes the dynamics that much more intense, because we see that at first he doesn't quite get how to do it. So yes, Ant-Man, he's fucking awesome. But how is Paul Rudd as Scott Lang? A big part of me knew he'd rock the role, but at the same time, there was a little bit of doubt in the back of my mind. I loved him in most of his work, but as a lead in a Marvel film, I was like, I'm not too sure about that. Just a little bit I wasn't sure, but sure enough, yeah, he fucking ruled. He was awesome. He's totally believable as this cat burglar. Way before he gets the suit, you see the kind of skills this guy has. The kind of skills that makes him worthy of the suit, that makes him worthy of the mission. Like, he does bring a lot of that Paul Rudd charm, but it's also one of his more sincere performances. He's usually in like a state of sarcasm with a lot of his roles, but he delivers his lines with a lot of sincerity. He's sarcastic at the right moments, which made him a total delight to watch. He's a cool thief, he's intelligent, he's inventive. Paul Rudd owns this role. He's completely believable in it. His character's a thief, so they recruit him to become the Ant-Man because of his skills as a thief. Hence, we get Marvel's first heist film. Now, I've heard criticisms along the lines of, although it's Marvel's heist film, it pretty much follows the same structures and rules that a normal heist film would follow, so it doesn't add much new to the heist genre. First off, I disagree with that. I like how they honored a lot of the heist films. And the fact that it's a Marvel heist film automatically makes it different because it's a heist film that's a combination of superpowers as well. To say it's not a unique heist film is you're being an asshole. Now, this part of the movie is where I've been hearing a lot of criticism. The relationship between Paul Rudd and his daughter. Like, I like this particular storyline, sure. It sort of feels like a plot device, but it works. That's the important part, is that it adds to the story. Like, it's the biggest part of his character's motivation, is to just be with his daughter. So the fact that people are bitching about this part of the movie gets me a little upset. You hear me, Chris Stuckman. I'm sorry, Chris. I adore you. I didn't mean that, Chris. You have way more subscribers than me. Like, it's such an essential part to the story that to get rid of it would kind of be an insult. Like, in a lot of ways, this is Marvel's, like, live-action family film. Like, with a lot of Marvel films, even Iron Man, I can see how parents might be like, even though it's PG-13, it's still a little too violent. And there's other elements that it just isn't good for kids. This, to me, even though it's dealing with a thief, it's a total family film. Sure, there's some bad language here and there, but other than that, it's just so damn enjoyable and lighthearted. Like, that's another thing I'm hearing, is that, oh, this Marvel film isn't as risky as a lot of comic book films. Sure, but I like the fact of how it's so lighthearted, because that's just it. It has so much heart. A big theme of this movie is family. Like with Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly. First off, Michael Douglas is Dr. Hank Pym. Wow. To this day, he is still one of the best actors around. I loved him in this role. You totally believe him as his character, despite the many Michael Douglas performances we've seen. And honestly, to me, his character and his performance was more interesting to me to watch more than Paul Rudd's. Not saying Paul Rudd's was bad at all. I'm saying that I wouldn't mind seeing like a prequel story to when Dr. Hank Pym was Ant-Man. He's complex, his way towards people kind of makes you challenge his opinion of him. But man, he is good. There's not enough words for me to express how good he is. I'll just say this. Out of all the supporting characters in these Marvel films where they're just, you know, human beings, not the superheroes, he is by far the most interesting one of them all. More interesting than fan favorite Pepper Potts. Everyone loves Pepper Potts. Now, Evangeline Lilly. This is the one part where I'm a little back and forth on her performance. Like, if I have a criticism, it's honestly her. Now, I know there'll be plenty of people who'll disagree with me on this. Almost every critic I listened to that recommended this movie really liked her performance. Now, I'm not saying I didn't like her. I want to make that clear before you start writing a mean comment, you fucker. I'm not saying I didn't like her. I just didn't always believe her. But the times where I really believed her were her scenes with Michael Douglas. She plays Michael Douglas's daughter. There's clearly a distance between them. They have that early expositional dialogue of, "Hi, Hank. You ever thought of calling me dad?" Some shit like that. But it also adds another human element to this film. And their scenes, I thought, were great. There is especially one very moving moment that I didn't almost cry, but a part of me was like, I'm crying on the inside. And I'm not going to give it away, but there's a mid-credit scene that involves them. And without the dynamic created in this film, that mid-credit scene would not be as rewarding as it is. Not just because it's a tease at future Marvel films, but it's a great reward for these characters. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what I could say in a spoiler-free review. Ant-Man, fantastic film, one of the best summer movies I've seen. Totally go and check it out. It totally got it right. Anyway, guys, if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe to The Real Rejects. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Vine, and Periscope. Because if we get more followers, we can get even more product placement. Now, you guys might be asking yourself, why does he talk so openly about product placement? Did you guys know that YouTubers really make most of their money off product placement? If you look at some of the biggest YouTubers, there's always a little product placement in there. You might not even notice it. I'm here today to reveal the secrets about what YouTubers really do. They make money off of you watching them. So don't skip those ads, people, and follow us on our social networks. Because it's all about making money. Not about the love of film. Money.